Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here for this special on uh, traditional and modern Ukrainian music, and also a little bit of context to the situation we find ourselves in the world right now. I think it's important to talk about it because, well, it's important to talk about any kind of war or military aggression in the modern context because it's relevant to everyone's lives. But also because Saskatchewan hosts a large population of Ukrainian people. I believe outside of Ontario, more Ukrainians than anywhere outside of Canada. I'm
Like
sorry.
Mr. Lysak, right?
Pardon?
Like Mr. Lysak.
Yeah, like that.
Lysak, like myself, like my spouse, like I suppose my children.
Yeah.
Ms. Patola is on a freight truck. And yeah, there's a lot of Ukrainians in our province. So I think it's worthwhile being informed. And even if it weren't worthwhile being informed just because of that population statistic, it's worth knowing about what's going on the planet right now in the context of musical culture, because I have a unique perspective here because I was adopted by a Ukrainian family in 1983 and grew up in like a Ukrainian cultural household, and later married a Ukrainian, and her family is Ukrainian Orthodox, and it's a big part of the fabric of my being, although I don't I'm not genetically Ukrainian at all because adopted. Genetically, I'm Ashkenazi Jewish and Icelandic, Scandinavian, and British, mostly Scottish, but there's a lot of travel in between there, and some French, a little bit of German. I'm the classic white mutt, if you would put it that way. And I don't know whether to be proud of that or not, but that's what I am. Either way, I've got a unique perspective on Ukrainian cultural music, both modern and traditional, and I thought I would share some of it here. You can inform yourselves on what's going on with the war, and I'm still confused. I'm really confused, but I'm trying to learn more about it every day. I'm not in a position to teach about it yet, but I'm working on it. So anyway, I first wanted to put this whole thing in the context of a quote that I heard recently that was saying that war is hell. And the response to that quote was, no, war is war and hell is hell. One of them might be real and one of them is real. And in hell, there are no innocent bystanders. In hell, you assume, if it's real, that there are only those who deserve to be punished in it. So it's a very just place from that context. But in war, there are innocent bystanders, children, animals, wildlife, nature itself. Even the non-participants suffer psychological damage. War is worse than hell. And I think it's important to note that that which the human race after World War II and then Vietnam and then Korea, sorry, other way around, Korea and then Vietnam, decided, no, we're never ever doing that again. Here we are again. And it's heartbreaking, it's frustrating, and all the feelings that you might be having about just the unanswerable question of why, those are all valid. I'm going through that myself right now. My family's going through it, and a lot of my peers, colleagues, relatives, etc., are going through it. Just like I thought we frickin' dealt with this like 40 years ago and more. Why? Why are we still doing this? So I don't go on social media often, but I tuned into a ghost Twitter account just to kind of like get the pulse on things, because I thought if I'm personally disconnected from social media. I have the work pages, but I don't. It's not part of the input in my head by choice. But I thought maybe I should go see what's going on, and I signed in, and from like an old account, and one of the people that I subscribed to was John Lennon. His family operates the account, and I was reminded of something that was pretty cool. In I think it was 1971, John and Yoko Ono being John Lennon's wife, and also a human being, an artist in her own right. They had hundreds of millions of dollars amassed in record sales, concert tickets, royalties, and so forth. They were some of the richest people on the planet. And they, on Christmas Day, 1971, purchased a series of billboards in New York City that said simply, "War is over," in big black text on a white background. I'll show it to you. This was at a time that there was still a war ongoing. Let's see if I can find this stupid picture. Yeah, this will do. And they made this like giant PR campaign. "War is over. If you want it. Happy Christmas from John and Yoko." And the idea was that people would see this from their balconies and like think that the government had declared that we're withdrawing from the war is over, and everything is fine. The war was not actually over, but they gave this like little happy bit of news, and then with a caveat of "war is over if you want it." All people have to do is decide that you don't have to fight anymore. You could drop your weapons psychologically or otherwise. And it was a bit of a turning point in global politics at that time, because he had a lot of attention. Like, this was not just one street corner. This was like all of New York City waking up to find the message, "The war is over." And people felt a sense of relief. They found profound joy in this promise that the war can be over whenever we all decide that it's over. You don't have to be a part of the military machine. You could just drop the gun, drop the grenade. That's a bad example. You could just stop. You can walk away. You can walk away from fighting at any point in time. So I signed into this my like old Twitter account, and I saw, the first thing I saw was this. It was Yoko Ono tweeting, "War is over. If you want it, love, John Yoko." And then Yoko posted it in Ukrainian. I can't pronounce it properly, so I won't, but it's in Ukrainian. Vichna Panike, I think, I can't remember. "War is over. If you want it, love, John Yoko." And then again in Russian, which is very similar to Ukrainian. But I sat down and had myself a little cry that the stuff that activists were doing 50 years ago is still the same kind of message. Like, how long do we have to keep repeating this before people understand? And I thought it was also incredible that Yoko was posting this same message 50 years from now. 50 years ago now. And I mean, I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but I had a serious, like, emotionally moving moment with that. it's the only positive interaction I've had on social media in the last since I don't know ever. And I didn't even have an interaction. It's just like maybe I should go figure out what's going on. And I signed in, and then it's the war is over, and then in Russian, and then in Ukrainian. Oh man, it was really moving. Anyway, that's not really what I came talking about. I just wanted to preface the whole thing with the message of peace will always win. Humans will always move towards peace. We get distracted sometimes. Hope is not over. It will resolve itself, hopefully, with as much peace as possible. Okay, so before I move on to the musical cultural side of things, does anyone have anything to share or add or comment to that so far? Oops, sorry, I just heard.
I was just saying, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Well, not really literally, I guess directly towards like something similar to you, but I guess something similar to me now. But the thing is though, like in our career, we're actually getting new jerseys that actually support Ukraine too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I was wondering if you want to see Mr. Ballin real quick.
I would love to.
Sure. Check your messenger.
Nice. Nice. Oh, the South Korean flag on there too?
Oh, it's because my country is actually for South Korea.
Yeah, I know. I was complimenting.
Oh yeah. Because it's more like South Korea and
At
Ukraine.
the same time, but like they've got a little Ukraine flag on there.
Yeah.
So, starting with, oh shoot, I might have to turn a VPN on to get this content because
Oh, I wonder what kind of content that is.
it's a Saturday Night Live broadcast, but they only
Oh,
broadcast to the States. So I might have to do this standby. Did it work? Are you still there? Okay,
I
good.
am. Yeah.
All right, good. Okay. Okay. So you might wonder why are there so many Ukrainians in Saskatchewan and not Manitoba or BC or Ontario or anywhere else for that matter in Canada? And here's a pretty good reason. And now I can't search anything. Oh, come on. Damn it. I think turning on that VPN might have just screwed up the whole vibe here. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. We're good. So a little bit of a backstory with my particular family that emigrated here. They were kind of sort of Ukrainian. They came from Romania to Ukraine, to Russia, back to Ukraine, through Poland, throughout the Second World War and the Soviet hunger famines, and eventually found themselves in Canada. If you've ever been anywhere in Eastern Canada, you know that it's rocky, mountainous. It doesn't look like land that you can settle like an agricultural farmer or something like that. But if you keep on going west, you get what looks a lot like Ukraine. So I'm not sure if you've ever seen any pictures of Ukraine before, but here's an example. That look a little bit like Saskatchewan, a little bit.
Yep.
Oh.
Are you sure it's not from Saskatchewan?
No, it's not. This is Ukraine. And guess why they're
Is that why the flag is
Yes.
is like that?
Yep,
Oh.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
it is. And Saskatchewan is very, very similar. Our flag is green and yellow. There's some blue and yellow. It's the same kind of deal. It's the refugees that flowed out of that area came to Canada. And side note, I know there is a colonial and indigenous perspective on this. I'm not educated enough to speak about it yet, but I know that it exists and I'm working on it. So anyway, if you land in like Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, etc., it's a fishing town. So like no, and then you keep on going west until you go, oh, that reminds me of home, and that's why we have so many Ukrainians. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that's not a coincidence. Anyway, so churches were set up and cultural centers were set up and farms were set up and markets were set up and schools and language centers and hospitals and things like this. Like the culture of Ukraine is heavily woven into the at least the colonial culture of Saskatchewan. Within the traditional musical setting of Ukraine, the Orthodox Church teaches that, not unlike the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith, where the only thing required to worship God and be at one with the divine is the human voice. Therefore, the choir, just singing, is the main, at least religious cultural mode. On Saturday night, I think they had about 4 hours notice, but Saturday Night Live had, with their cold open, where is it? I gotta find this now. A Ukrainian choir in New York do their opening to the show, and they sang not the Ukrainian national anthem, but a song that every Ukrainian would know and that the choir would have rehearsed before. And they did this all with like no notice whatsoever. And I happen to be tuning into this because I love Saturday Night Live and I'm always there for the musical guests. And I hadn't really processed all the details of the war and invasion and stuff. And like, I'm not really sure what's going on. And saw this and I was just crying because it was so beautiful. It's like, this is the music that I heard growing up. This is the music that my spouse heard growing up. And it's a very interesting singing style. You don't sing, you yell, and you yell only chest voice, but no vibrato, all solid pitch. And yeah, it's a very specific style of singing. It was really beautiful. It really spoke to my soul. I wanted to share with you here. Here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ukrainian Chorus Dumka of New York.
Sis, oi,
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Oh. Jeez. And they had Kiev and candles at the end. Oh man. Oh jeez. This that was, I don't know, it's beautiful to me. I don't know if it speaks to anybody else, but that's cool. And to have that nation of people recognized on television like that, and international television is beautiful. Oh, we have a Steve entering the room. Okay, I'm going to see who this is. Just hold on, and then we'll get into the vagabonds and the underbelly of Ukrainian culture. And this is where I start to get super hyped about it because this is cool stuff. Hello,
Oh.
Steve. Who is this?
This is Katie.
Oh, hey, Katie. Welcome. Katie,
Hi.
Katie learned to play the drums the other day, and she's killing it so far.
Ooh, great.
Did like a week's worth of work in 45 minutes. All right, Katie, we're just in the middle of a presentation about Ukrainian culture and music. So I'm on a bit of a roll here, so I'm going to keep going. The word Ukraine literally means borderlands. It's the piece of geographical territory between Europe and Asia. And speaking of which, Russia is kind of stuck between both, geographically and culturally. To the east, they border China and Mongolia and Bhutan and Tibet. To the south, they border Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Middle East, India a little bit. To the east, they border Poland. Sorry, to the west, they border Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Estonia, and Finland. They're stuck between Scandinavia and Asia and India and China and Western Europe. The level of cultural diversity in this country is never talked about appropriately. So to consider Russians as being just Russia, it's way more complicated than that. Showing you a map of Ukraine here. Like here's Poland, and let me make this bigger for you. Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. There's Ukraine. This literally means borderlands. This is the portal, the passageway from Europe to Asia. Spice trades, slave trades. It all had to go through here and this waterway. And this land was heavily contested. This is when, back when only land travel was an option. Highly contested territory. It was part of Europe. It was part of Russia. It was part of the Middle East. It was part of a variety of cultures, ways of trade and agriculture and means of living. So I don't know enough about modern Ukraine to speak about what it's like now, but I can speak to my family's perspective. My family was Romanian, and Romania is very similar to a borderlands country. If you fled Romania or Hungary or Slovakia or Poland and went east, you were in Ukraine. And then if you fled Ukraine, you went west into these countries. And the mix of people in this is very, very complicated and very diverse. But one thing that it bred was an interbreeding of musical cultures, usually not in like the professional or religious sense, but rather in the I am a traveling gypsy, and the only thing I have to get by is my ability to entertain and perhaps distract and steal. And, you know, I'm going to go play my violin in front of this traveling small village, and then the people hiding in the bushes while they're distracted by the performance are going to go rob that small town. Roma culture and gypsy culture is something I'm not educated enough in really to speak about it yet, but there was a very transient and deceptive by nature of just having to survive nature of the culture that grew out of these areas. And Ukraine is not immune to that. Anyway, there is a modern band that is still carrying on this kind of culture of, if you are an outcast, an immigrant, somebody who has to scrape by to survive, grew up in poverty, and overcame that poverty by whatever means necessary. There's a brotherhood, there's a sisterhood, there's a siblinghood there. And this particular band called Gogol Bordello is comprised of a group of Roma, Ukrainian, Western Ukrainian, and that kind of area that I showed you on the map, people, including what's now known as Israel, people who melded musical cultures and are sort of identifying themselves with the subculture of the immigrant punk. We're in America, and we had to fight to get here, and we're trying to play rock music with that energy of we came from nothing, and we're not gonna just sit down and live a life of luxury. We're going to celebrate at every single moment. And I wanted to play you two things from their one of their shows. One of them was on KEXP. And they speak a variety of languages. And it's kind of like this mix, and you can barely understand them, and the lyrics don't make any sense, but the energy is all there. So this first one is an acoustic performance, and it's pretty intense. Like, even just the look in their faces, like they're angry, but it's an acoustic performance, and they don't even have an audience, but they're playing for themselves. And one particular note about this kind of musical style is that it's part of the style to gradually speed up as you get through the performance and get more and more quick. So they're not rushing for the sake of rushing, or rushing because they don't know how to play with a metronome. This is just how you play. So this song is called Start Wearing Purple, which I have no idea what that means. I don't think they even know what it means either, but it's one of their hit songs. They look like they're 50, but I believe they were in their early 30s at this point. They've been through a lot. Here we go.
We will do it.
Sorry, two things to point out here. This guy was, I'm not sure if you knew this, but everyone who grows up in Israel is conscripted into the Israeli army. And this guy actually saw action before escaping and living a different life. He was an Israeli commando during, I believe, Desert Storm. And who knows how old he is at this point. This guy wasn't 30. He's quite clearly like age. So assume that everybody that you're seeing right now has been through some kind of PTSD and come out the other side and is trying to live their best life.
Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and the wits will vanish, I promise. It's just no matter of time. So yeah, ha! Start wearing purple, wearing a purple. Da-da-da-da-da. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity wits, they will all vanish. I promise. It's just no matter of time. I know it all since you were 20. I was 20. I thought that some years from now, a purple little lady would be perfect for dirty old and useless clown. So yeah, ha! Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing a purple for me now. All your sanity wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just no matter of time. I know it all from Deepak Chopra to Eckhart Tolle. Od ложечки до паспорту. Oh, yeah. Я клянусь об особо что ты. А музыка пошла от звука в музыку. So yeah, ha! Start wearing purple, wearing purple. La-da-da-da-da. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just no matter of time. So yeah, ha! Start wearing purple, wearing purple. La-da-da-da-da. Start wearing purple for me now. Why don't you start wearing purple? Why don't you all start wearing purple? Start wearing purple for me all your sanity wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just no matter of time. So feel, Violeta, Eta. Давайте мои. Подайте нам карету, вот эту, и мы поедем к Ефиму. So yeah, ha! Start wearing purple, wearing purple. La-la-la-la-la. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish. It's just no matter of time.
Man,
Live in the Studios of Cakesby. I love that song.
like the level of this like energy and passion in a room with no people. Like, like man, I wish I could have that kind of like just able to conjure that when there's no audience. Oh man. So imagine what they must be like when there's an actual lyric. I'm sorry, when there's an actual audience. I remember seeing I did backline for these guys once at Louis, I think in 2003, 2004. And it was just chaos. I've never seen a show like that before. They have like flapper dancers, and their whole job is to spit in a bucket and hit the bucket with a chain. This is what they do. It's part of the band. You didn't see any of that in the last one, but I'm gonna see if I can find one of those here. It's just, the whole show is just chaos. It's so much fun. See if I can find one that's like that. Like yeah, this is about 8 years ago. This might be it. And then they kind of had some mainstream breakthrough too. They did a performance on Letterman. Let's see if I can find one. No, they don't have the full band on that one.
Did you ever see the Eurovision, the Ukrainian performance last year?
Oh, with the sand painting?
I think. No, I think that one
No.
was
Okay.
before, but that one's really good too. Is that a baby?
Mm,
No.
nice. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, this is a baby. Hello, baby.
No.
Anyways,
Oh, okay. Anyway, I can't find one that's not the David Letterman one. So this was 15 years ago. This band was doing this on the David Letterman show. They actually had some
I know.
some decent mainstream success.
Oh, Auntie, I hear my show.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Anyway, I've never seen shows as chaotic as this particular band. This does it a little bit of justice about just like how much they're committed to like just having great raw primal energy in their shows, and there's a bit of a metal attitude to it too. Like it's all just like destroy yourself for the purpose of the show. It's just fantastic, and to have this on like mainstream television in like the early 2000s was like groundbreaking. Okay, here we go.
Okay, we're gonna be good. It's like a party at my house. Hello. Thank you. Our next guests are an acclaimed and very entertaining band of musicians whose new CD is called Super Taranta. Please welcome Gogol Bordello.
I should mention this. Their band name roughly translates to Gogol means crazy, and Bordello means like burlesque house. So a way of thinking about it is like saying like insane whorehouse. That's what the band name means. Yeah, it's that speaks to the energy that they bring forth. So maybe not the whorehouse bit, but just like the craziness, like or yeah. Anyway, here we go.
Back in the day, as we learned, a man was not considered to be Has he not gone beyond the hills? Has he not crossed the 7 seas?
Yes, 7 seas, sadly.
Now all them jokers kept around, just like the scarecrows in Uptown.
Yes, get to see hometown.
From screen to screen, them traveling. But I'm a wanderlust king. I stay on the run. Let me out. Let me be gone. In the world, beat out roadside. I saw you. History of our time. New history of time. Through Siberian woods, breaking up their neck. Chinese moving in, building discotheques. Yeah, building disco. Trans-Siberian sex toys and whatnot. Well, at least it's something different from what they got in every other airport. Я не еврей, но кое-что похоже. Соврать не даст ни Юра, ни Сережа. Simply because first-hand information, challenging definitions of sin. I traveled the world looking for lovers of the ultimate beauty, but they never settled in. I am a wanderlust king. I stay on the run. Let me out. Let me be gone. In the world, beat up Rosaria. I saw new history of our time. New history of generals and presidents and millionaires. They'll never know what I have owned, what I have owned. I am a wanderlust.
Yeah, there you go. Sure. Gogol Bordello.
Like this, oh man, on the same stage where the Beatles first performed in America in 1964. Just like they're just out there. It's so cool.
I love his voice.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't even care about pitch. He's just
Oh, yeah.
he's just giving it. It's so great. And man, again, I haven't even shown you one with an audience yet. Because yeah, there's shows. It was bonkers, like literal chains and like big plastic buckets, and they're just like whipping the buckets with the chains just for noise. And there's crowd surfing, and it gets there. Oh, okay, well, this is the same song I showed you before, but it's one of their hits, so maybe I'll play this. But I think there's an underline here of like the resilience of Ukrainian people and the diversity of the cultural art, not just from the religious choral sense, but also from like the Romanian gypsy underbelly of society, the immigrant punk vibe that has a through line to what we're seeing happening in Ukraine now. This relatively small nation next to Russia who are using like, guerrilla fighting tactics to drive back massive army tanks and airstrikes, and using their own social media networks to warn each other about where they saw planes. And they're actually like, they're not doing well, but they're doing better than they should have. Like that should have been over in a couple of days, and it's been a week and they're still going. Evolving situation anyway. Okay, so this will be the last thing we share for the night here, and then so I'll ask you for any input or questions and stuff before we play this, because that'll be the end of the night after this one. It's all good. The baby go to bed there, Katie?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I can't remember what year this was. It's from Access Mundi. Well, it was posted on YouTube in 2013, but I think it was earlier than that. Yeah, so let's say it was about 10 years ago, something like that. Oh man, this is making me miss live music a whole lot. Okay, here we go.
Comienza a vestirte de violeta. Vístete de violeta para mí. Tu sanidad y cordura se esmarán, te lo juro. Es solo cuestión de que. So, yeah! Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple, purple. All your sanity, and a Wednesday will all vanish. I promise you, ha! It's just a matter of time. I know you since you were at 20. I was 20, and thought that summer years from now. I'm purple, little lady, will be perfect. Better than the old, every useless clown. So, yeah, start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple, follow me now. All your sanity, wits, they'll vanish. I promise you, ha, it's just a matter of time. I know it all from Diogenes to the Foucault. От ложечки до паспорту. И я клянусь, обосоку пальцы, что ты, что музыка пошла от звука в бок. So, yeah, just a matter of time. So, yeah, start wearing purple. Start wearing purple. Very nice soprano. So why don't you start wearing purple? It's cool, baby. Why don't you start wearing Start wearing purple for me. We're just after so feel лето, дама ты моя. Доходи нам карету, вот эту, а мы поедем к Епене. So, yeah, all your sanity, wits. I promise you, it's just a matter of time. Matter of fucking time. And I lied. What about I say? Mwah, 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 mwah.
Just like bonkers energy.
He's such a performer.
Cool.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Katie was saying in the chat here. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds cool. I don't even know if he knows what he's saying because, like, there's such a melding of languages in his upbringing from English, Ukrainian, Russian, Slavic, Baltic, Hebrew, Turkish, like some of it's just word salad. He doesn't even know what he's doing. And the lyrics change from performance to performance, but I didn't even know what start wearing purple means. I have no idea. And I've never even looked it up, and I've been listening to this band for like 20 years.
Yeah, like ever since I started listening to like Bilderbuch, that German band, I just been loving all these different like bands that are from like, well, there's a Russian band that I love, and just like all these different languages and songs. I think it's really awesome when you don't know what they're saying, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, the musical spirit of it supersedes the meaning of the lyrics at all.
Mhm.
That's a beautiful thing. I think that's I don't know. I don't know how to put it. I haven't thought it all the way through yet, but like when you I don't know, when you connect with somebody without needing words, and it's just
Mhm.
an energy exchange. Anyway, that would be about it for tonight, unless anybody else had anything to add. Last thing, most of the records that Gogo Bordello put out were produced by Steve Albini. Steve Albini was Nirvana's producer.
Oh wow.
Tracks, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the quality of the song. It's not about radio friendly. It's about the mood of the band and the vibe and the soul and the energy that's supposed to be there.
Oh, did you look more into Greta Van Fleet?
I did. I showed them to my kids. I showed them to my spouse.
Because guess who's coming to Regina in August?
Well, me now.
They are, yeah. Nick and I might go together actually.
Yep. And Foo Fighters in September.
Oh.
And Weird Al in July.
Isn't Slipknot coming out to Saskatoon?
And Slipknot, yeah, right, Hunter?
Yep.
I have to tell my sister, holy smokes.
I'm
I
going.
spent so much money on live music.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, well, thanks for joining me for this one, folks. War is over if you want it.
Mm.
All right, peace and love to you. I'll see you when I see you. I will be back tomorrow, I promise.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the German song I want to do.
And show me the original that you're making.
My original.
Oh shoot.
And remember, Hunter, Iman, and Beck, and try to remind everybody who's in the ensemble part, in the band part of the class, that we're meeting every Friday. I'm not sure what we'll play this Friday, but at very least, we'll meet and talk about what we want to do and kind of make an overall plan for the rest of the year. So like we're gonna cover this one and this one and this one. So it's I'm trying to bring some more shape to it, so it's not just like, oh, hey, I want to cover this, and then we figure it out last minute. Maybe we can, rehearse.
Yeah,
it.
see, I was thinking of making a list myself to show you so that we had some kind of plan for what I'm into.
Yep. Hunter already sent me one. Yeah, so let's just come up with a giant list here and see what our instrumentation is like and who's reliable to show up and be able to participate and, make a plan to be a band for the rest of the year. Play some shows, maybe some coffee houses.
Yeah.
Oh, Beck, I'm almost done Creep.
Oh, sweet.
It might take me until Friday. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
She recorded Creep 2 weeks ago. Jesus.
Oh, you showed me that.
Oh yeah, I was mixing it and you were in the room. That's right. Yeah. Cool. All right. See you tomorrow, everybody. Peace and love.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Mhm. Goodbye.